Hello and welcome to another episode of Make Fit Make Sense. I'm your host, Ryan Wade. And today I want to break down what to do when your routine falls off. This could be for any reason. You could be taking a vacation. You could have unexpected life circumstance happen. It's just when your routine breaks down, how do we go about building it back up in a way that we can hop right on track and be the one who bounces back quickly? In the last episode, we talked a lot about how to create optimal functioning and how to create that moving train to hop on that you can just get going and function in the right space, not expect too much of yourself, and go ahead and reach those goals by creating consistent, small, imperfect routines. And so today I want to talk about that 72 hours, critical 72 hours after your routine breaks and how to bounce back without any extremes, without any starting over. And whenever we are done here, whenever we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with a 72-hour re-entry protocol to make sure that you do bounce back. So make sure that you listen all the way to the end. So let's go back and let's assume that we just got back off of vacation or something happened where we had to take a break from eating perfectly, from getting to the gym, from getting our, ideal 8 hours of rest. And again, this is just life. Life's always going to throw us curveballs. We've discussed the the reason why it's so important to just start even whenever life's not perfect, because life's never going to be perfect and you're going to have to deal with this kind of circumstance. When we get back, why does it take us so long to rebound? Well, our nervous system's calmed down. We've been in a relaxed state. You ever have like that one day off that turns into maybe 2 weeks, right? That's called underfunctioning. We talked about that in the last episode. But what we want to figure out is we don't want to tell ourselves that we're lazy. We don't want to tell ourselves that we lost momentum. When we get off track, our mind tends to tell us, oh, you failed, you're failing. Well, we need to stop whenever we hear ourselves talking like that to ourselves. We wouldn't talk like that to our spouse. We wouldn't talk about that to our kids. We wouldn't talk like that to our parents. But we have, for some reason, this buffer that we will talk to ourselves like that. And we need to stop and realize that when we are beating up on ourselves, telling ourselves that we failed or we're a failure, that we need to start to reframe that mindset into, I didn't fail. I didn't lose. I just lost some momentum, and I'm going to gain that momentum back, and I'm going to be the person who can bounce back. Now, whenever you might have been younger, growing up, you might have been able to bounce back quickly and easily and get right back into the routine. So why does it feel so hard to get back on that routine after we've turned 40, 50, so on? The basics of it is that we have more life load. More life load could be kids, it could be your stress, it could be travel, it could be your job, it could be stiff and achy joints, it could be bad sleep, it could be energy that has just been taken up by everything and everyone else in your life. But as we know, if we are going to stay consistent with our health and our fitness, we have to make the time for us. When we go about doing that, because we've told ourselves that we are failing, we tend to then execute exercise in the format of punishment, right? And one of my top 5 rules for sure is that we should never exercise for punishment. Exercise should only be a celebration of what your body can do, not a punishment for what it can't. And when we can reframe our ability to start and hop back into our fitness routine just to do what we are capable of, it makes it a lot easier of a re-entry point. You say that again. Consistency isn't being perfect by never missing a session or a workout. It's how fast you can return. Again, life's going to throw you curveballs, and we need to be able to return quickly and effectively and know the steps to get there. So anytime we are planning a celebration, a holiday, a birthday, a vacation, anything like that, we want to have this 72-hour re-entry bounce back protocol to be able to get back on track and have that peace of mind that I am the kind of person that can bounce back quickly because I do these things. And we're going to start breaking those down. But before we do that, what are some of the traps that keep us stuck in our mind from getting restarted? And this could be something like all or nothing thinking. If I don't get back to where I was, it's not worth it. That's completely untrue. Again, we talked about the difference between the gap and the gain in previous episodes. Thinking about that where I am today is not enough. It's not where I want to be versus where I am today is so much further than where I was. Well, every time that we step back from a setback, we need to take that same line of thinking of that I'm not going to be as perfect as or as good as I was the day that I left, but I can set my expectations a little less than that and then be able to hop back in with confidence. We might get caught in a guilt spiral. I shouldn't have had that food. I shouldn't have had that many drinks. I shouldn't have, stayed on my butt for 4 days on the beach doing nothing, right? But the fact of the matter is that that's over. It's behind us. The past should not predict our future. And when we start to think of this guilty spiral, it should be a trigger for us to realize, hey, I'm not, again, talking to myself the way that I would talk to my kids, my parents, my spouse, anything like that. So why am I talking to myself like this? I need to be able to use that guilt spiral as a trigger to take the next step forward. Another trap that could keep you stuck in your thinking is overcorrection, right? Going in and doing the exercise as punishment, trying to perfect your nutrition as soon as you get back, and ultimately burning yourself out from doing too much too fast. Exactly, taking the lessons that we learned from being able to get started in imperfect times. We just need to do enough in each of these areas to get restarted, set our targets slightly more, let's say, realistic, but smaller than what they were whenever we left, so that we can get caught up with everything else in our life, but also get caught up in our health and our fitness and our mental health and everything else. There's a lot to get back from and bounce back from whenever you come back off of your routine. We just need to be realistic about what we have the capability to build. Make sure that we have our goals written out and know that, hey, I've got these things to catch up on work, with family, with the kids' activities. And I also need to carve time out to do these small things. And because I have all this other stuff, I'm going to expect a little bit less of myself in this 72-hour period. And then after that 72 hours, I should be all caught up with the rest of my life situations. And I can then go back to getting into my full routine of where I was before I left. Another trap could be decision fatigue. What plan should I do now? Maybe I want to start something new. What are the options? I want to make sure that this week with my nutrition goes perfectly. What are all the best foods that I could do? When we start thinking about bests and how can I save time on reentry, we are not committed to a single point of reentry and a smaller, more achieved reentry point. And so whenever we try to make too many decisions, we have decision making fatigue. Your decisions have a gas tank, and every time you make a decision, it goes lower and lower, and that leaves less energy for your mind and for your body to be able to just get on track. And the last trap is that we may have scale panic when we get back. And we never think about that our float weight could fluctuate up to, 11 pounds, give or take, given how much water and food and whatever else you've had, how much good sleep you have, whatever time of the month it is. You never know. Plus water weight and plus, some of the inflammatory markers that may have existed while you were off routine. This all happens. And we just, again, need to have some grace with ourselves to say, okay, not going to be exactly where I was. I'm re-entering as a slight step back, but that means that I can take my reapproach or my re-entry low and slow so that I can have realistic targets, celebrate small wins, and continue to stack wins as we move forward. So what is that bounce back protocol, that 72-hour bounce back protocol I've been talking about? The goal of that bounce back protocol is to rebuild rhythm. It's not expecting perfection. Again, we are just trying to stack small wins like bricks to build the house of our routine. And so here's what I always like to tell my clients. There are 5 non-negotiables when it comes to re-entry or your bounce back 72 hours after you've fallen off your routine. 1, you have a hydration baseline. We want something simple and repeatable. So whether that's 3 or 4 glasses of water, or if you have the big 40-ounce thing, 2 of those is a simple, repeatable re-entry. The second re-entry non-negotiable is going to be your protein anchor. Having 1, or if you're a male and a little bit larger male, you're going to have 2 palms of protein, about the size of a deck of cards, lean protein to get back into it. That's the only thing we're going to focus on nutritionally is the water and the protein. Then we're going to have a daily steps target. And this is not going to be 10,000 because that's, you really have to focus on trying to get there. And we don't want to do too many things, but 5 to 7,000 steps to re-enter back into a routine is something that you can get in a 30-minute, maybe a little bit more walk a day. Then one short strength session. All right. So this can be any kind of strength movement. It can be body weight. It could be mobility. It could be anything that you feel like you can be successful with in the moment. You want to pick the game you can play. And I think sometimes when we're re-entering off our routine, we choose too many games that we cannot win. We want to choose the game that we can win. And in that could be a 10 to 15-minute strength session or mobility session. Or it could be just body weight, planks, isometrics, push-ups, things like that, that you can do on your own with limited space, no equipment, right? That's a game that we can always win. And if it's not, a 10 to 15 minute, maybe it's simply 2 sets of 2 exercises, 3 sets of 3 exercises, 4 sets of 4 exercises, whatever is the game that you can win mentally, whatever is the game you can win realistically with your schedule, and whatever is the game that you can win with your energy that you have because you are rebuilding that environment of success is the game that you should be playing. Then just one small sleep upgrade. If you've gotten back and you've been going to sleep late, go in to sleep 30 minutes earlier than you have been and stacking that win going in reverse, maybe 2 days, 30 minutes earlier, 2 days, 30 more minutes earlier, so on until you get back to your regularly scheduled sleep time. Trying to get that optimal 8 hours ish of sleep. We don't want to make all these big overlying changes because that is not the game that we can win. So, in your 72 hours re-entry from falling off your routine, here's your rules. No punishment, no detox, no makeup workouts, no perfection. We want to reduce the amount of choices. So the way that I like to install this is to give myself a 2-day floor for my minimums, right? So what can we do to win that game when life is chaotic so that we never hit zero? Well, again, this could be those 2 strength sessions a week, and it could be as little as 15 minutes or 2 sets of 2 exercises, 3 sets of 3 exercises, 4 exercises. I like using those numbers because they're just easy to process in our mind. We can do 2 sets of 2, 3 sets of 3, 4 sets of 4, different exercises. That doesn't tell you what the rep ranges are and things like that, but that is something that we can do simply. And if you want a simple rep range, just go with 5 to 10. If you can do 10, then up your weight and go back down to 5. It's the simplest re-entry point, and it doesn't matter when we're just trying to get reset what the perfect workout is. What matters is that we recreate routine. We want to get in that same 72 hours. We want to get 2 to 4 walks. We want to make sure that we hit our protein and our water anchors. And we could potentially have one recovery time slot. And that could be meditation, breathing, stretching, you name it. One way to stay with a recovery standard if that's something that is in your normal routine. We don't want to add it if it's not already in our normal routine because we're just trying to get back again to optimal routine. Now is not the time to add. Now is the time to be realistic, go backwards just a little bit, and reset up our floor for success. When we decide that we want to set a floor, that prevents our bad week from becoming a bad month. And so when we look at fitness with a floor, with a imperfect minimum and allow ourselves to be able to just execute that. Again, that's how we set up success. We've talked about this a few different times on this podcast. So when we're creating, I told you to go with 5 to 10 reps of 2 exercises, 2 sets, 3 exercises, 3 sets, 4 exercises, 4 sets. Well, what are some options that you can do to create these workouts? Well, I like to look at workouts in terms of movements and what movements are the body capable of. There's really 7 foundational movements and 1 anti-movement that we like to call it. And that is going to be your squat pattern, your hinge pattern, your pushing, your pulling, vertical and horizontal for pushing and pulling, you're carrying, you're crawling, and then you're resisting. And when we do those, we can break them down into smaller pieces. There's 7 different movements, and we can then break them down into 7 days or less than that, depending if we're doing 2 2s, 3 3s, or 4 4s. But let's look at just the big four that we can get done with rhythm. We can look at our squat pattern, right? We can do some body weight squats with little or no equipment. We can do some pushing exercises with little or no equipment. Pulling tends to be more equipment heavy because we can do push ups, we can do wall push ups, incline push ups. We can push something away from us if you have something like that. You can do a core, a plank, a crawl, like a bear crawl or a crab walk. You can carry some things around the house. You've got big gallon jugs, you've got a box, you've got something that you can carry in front of you. These are all things that we can do with little or no equipment. And if we just, again, set our expectation for 10 to 15 minutes, we can do all four of these different patterns and be consistent with it. Who cares even if you even count how long you did anything? Sometimes you just might want to re-enter and do what feels right, do what feels good. And if you have a background or basis of other good exercise that you've been consistent with in the past, you know what's going to feel good with you. Now, those of you who really don't have that long of a foundation may just want to follow, again, the squat pattern, squat to your couch, step up, doing your steps, doing one leg at a time repeatedly, or side step ups, doing some incline or wall push-ups, regular push-ups, doing some kind of crawling pattern. Could it be a bear crawl? Could it be a crab walk? And you can carry something down at your sides, racked here at your chest, or overhead in a waiter position. You can do any of these different things, require minimal commitment, minimal equipment, so commitment and equipment, and minimal time to be able to execute it efficiently, and take time to celebrate doing those things and not expecting too much of yourself, so that we can, again, re-enter at a point of positivity and not negativity. Now, option B, maybe you don't want to go through all that. Just getting started with a quick 15 to 20-minute walk may be enough. And then maybe adding some stretching at the end to make you feel good. The rule is to, again, just show up. We don't need to be perfect. We don't need to do too much. We don't need to make too many decisions. We want to have a plan to go back, execute, and leave. And the win is just by the showing up. And then we can hop on that moving train that when we just show up, we're going to achieve more. Now, when we create this plan, we've talked about the 5 non-negotiables, we've talked about some different exercises, we've talked about expectations, and we've talked about also creating an environment for all the other responsibilities in our life, and why that's making this feel so heavy. We want to allow our plan to be imperfect. Your plan and your health and your fitness should always be able to bend and never be able to break, right? I like to use a football analogy sometimes. Like, we want to allow yards, but not scores, right? And so when we do that, we are setting ourselves up only for success when we, again, just show up. When we've done all this and we've planned it out, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to sit down with a notebook and you're going to say, what are the most important things? Well, the most important things are going to be water, food, movement, sleep, and then also recovery. Okay. And when we do those 5 things, we plan them out piece by piece, then we want to also remind ourselves that, hey, I am the kind of person who can return quickly. I am the kind of person who can bounce back after a setback and say, hey, there's going to be more setbacks, and this is going to set me up to be successful for the long term, for the rest of my life, because fitness and health should never stop. Life sure isn't going to stop throwing us curveballs. We are going to need to re-enter back into our health and fitness routine many times. And when we follow this kind of protocol, we can do just that. The win isn't a perfect week. The win is not disappearing. It's showing up. So at the beginning of the episode, I told you that I was going to leave you with your 72-hour bounce back plan, and here's how you can get it. We have created the community. Here's how you can do just that. We have created the Make Fit, Make Sense online community. And every time we drop a podcast, we are going to drop a resource along with that podcast to take the lessons learned in the episode and execute them in your life. And for this episode, we are giving you the 72-hour bounce back plan. Now, also in that community is going to be a forum where you can connect with me and my team of coaches to talk about how to make your fitness make sense with your specific life. The things that we talk about on this podcast are simply ideals and things that are generally good ideas for people, but your life may be different, and each individual person, each body is unique. And so we need to make sure that you get all the value from this podcast. And we are committing that to making sure that you get just that by having the coaches forum and then also the community forum where you can talk to other listeners of Make Fit Make Sense, other people who have been confused by the health and fitness industry and all the things they need to do to make their health and fitness, one, a priority, and two, have a success planner built around it. And we're going to give you that in the Make Fit Make Sense community. That link will be in these show notes. So make sure that you join the free Makes Fit Make Sense online community and go ahead and download the printable 72-hour bounce back plan while you're at it. And while if you're looking for us, just make sure that you check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us, Make Fit Make Sense, and like and subscribe to any podcasts carrier that you're going on. Again, YouTube, Spotify. We're still working on the Apple Podcasts and anywhere else where you can find us. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Remember, life is never going to stop throwing you curveballs. Don't expect it to. Your re-entry plan shouldn't be perfect. It should just be enough. I'm Ryan. Make Fit Make Sense. See you next time.